Good afternoon, this is Mark Harrison with Sewer Line Check Professionals. I am here at 3343 Laurel Canyon Blvd in Studio City, and I am in the process of performing a video examination of the main sewer line system here on the property for Stephen Ellison. Now, the main sewer line is the portion of the waste drainage piping that is exterior to the structure. It lies underground and connects the building drain line system to the public sewer. The building drain line system then is the portion or portions of the waste drainage piping that is underneath or interior to the structure. Our examination today is not focused on the building drain line system, so if further evaluation is desired regarding the building drain line system, a licensed plumbing contractor should be contacted, or a specialty building drain line video examination can be set up through our office. So currently we're sitting about 122 feet in, looking into the city sewer. We're 122 feet from the cleanout access that we found here in the front planter area, out in front of the right front addition portion of the structure. About, I don't know, 20 feet or so to the right of the front porch, and we've pushed through a short, about 30-foot or so section of the, which looks like a line for the addition that ties into the primary line, and then all the way out to the public sewer. There's another short branch of the system that we don't have exterior cleanout access for, but we're going to try to get into a cleanout in the sub-area underneath the house to look at that short section from the other side. But since we got out here to the public sewer from this point, I wanted to start here and record this line backwards. Now, we've shown everybody already one of the conditions that we found here in the pipe as we pull off the public sewer, pulling back into the 6-inch clay piping. This is a vitrified clay pipe material, which is pretty common piping for these sewer systems, especially under the street. Right after we get back off the public sewer connection, you'll see here we have a joint or a connection here. It's very evidently broken. The offset, the amount this section is offset here at this joint does indicate that this section has broken. We see soil coming in along with the roots here at these joints. So this is all just kind of leading us to that conclusion. This area is broken. So what we've done is we've gone out and we've tracked and located where this is at. It's near the middle of the street, kind of in the median there, about 11 feet deep, somewhere between 10 and 12 feet deep, so we're kind of calling it 11 feet based on what our locating equipment is telling us, and that should be a pretty close estimate of where, or indication of where that line is. So in this case it requires a qualified and reputable sewer contractor, which is a different license to work out under the public works end or the street. So one would need to be contacted to get an accurate repair estimate on this area. The written report that we supply will have a reflection of industry standard repair costs, but it won't be a pinpoint or an accurate value estimate for that repair. Alright, so we'll pull back now, and generally the rest of the line is functioning pretty normally. You'll see these next few joints, how smooth they are. You don't see that big offset. That's really what they should look like. Now we're seeing these little chips in the walls of this clay pipe. Here's a good example of what I'm talking about. This does tell us that the line has been hydrojetted recently. Basically cleared out all the obstructions, any root intrusions that were in the line, any sort of debris buildup, potentially additional soil that isn't really that visible at that break would have been washed out. Now we're seeing here kind of a circular pattern around here that's kind of chipped out, so that tells me there is some cracking here. I've seen a couple areas like that. Minor cracking, while it isn't a very significant situation here, it is kind of the evidence that those areas are starting to crack and break. So while they're not major breaks, they are still considered kind of a minor break. A little bit from that joint to be considered common. So there may be other rehabilitation type of methods considered or suggested when that repair is done at the city connection. You see here we're changing color of the clay piping. It's a much more red or orange color now. And as we get back to the joints here, you're going to see that black material on the bottom around the sides. That's a coupling style connection rather than the older clay under the street. It has the what we call the bell and spigot, where one piece slides inside the other and it's packed with mortar to hold it together. So this is a newer section of clay pipe here, probably from the upper portion of the front yard here, just before it drops down to the street. All this looks fine. As we pull steeply upwards here, we're going to see a pretty significant area of root intrusion here as well. This is kind of as we're making our drop, transitioning from the 4-inch cast iron and kind of dropping down steeply. You'll see roots coming in at that cast iron to clay connection. That's not an uncommon place for that to start occurring. And that type of condition is typically an indication that these cast iron materials are nearing the end of their useful service life. This is kind of the first place it begins to fail. You see the bottom of that pipe, if you look at the bottom of the screen, is kind of starting to chip away. So this is an area that also can be problematic for the system until it is upgraded. But as we come around this drop, so this was a pretty significant area of root intrusion. You can see the large diameter roots that were kind of just split apart and cut away by the jetting. Pretty typical that you're going to see this after a jetting. You're never going to get all of these roots perfectly clean. I don't see that there is a break here, but the coupling that connected these two sections of pipes looks like it's probably been compromised by these roots. So again, with the upgrades and rehabilitations, this might be included in that as well, just to kind of minimize future maintenance. Alright, so we're pulling back now through a 4-inch cast iron pipe. And this looks to be pretty clean, pretty smooth. A recent hydrojetting would have knocked off a lot of the corrosion, kind of a lumpy rust and scale buildup, so it does make it kind of hard to determine how old this pipe might be. But as long as we're not seeing the beginnings of root penetrations and things like that, cracks along the walls of the pipe, we're not really suggesting that this is at the end of its useful service life yet. Now we're going to get a little bit better idea of the overall age when we drop into that other section of the system, because as we come out of the structure there, I don't believe that got hydrojetted since there is no clean out. Kind of get a better idea at that point. But so far, no indications that this cast iron pipe is beginning to fail yet. Average service life expectancy on these pipes is typically somewhere around 70 years. Now we're pulling back around this kind of Y connection. This is where the two lines intersect. So when we drop into that other end, we'll be coming through this line in kind of on the left side of the screen here through down the pipe. We'll come off of that primary line 45 degrees now in a 3-inch cast iron pipe. Similar condition, probably a little bit newer when this addition was put in. Very similar condition along here. Alright, so we'll pull the line the rest of the way out. I'll show you this clean out real quick, and then we're going to reset underneath the structure. Now this is a 3-inch clean out on a 3-inch pipe, which is fine. But you see what they did here is they took a 4-inch piece of pipe on the riser and stuck it down over the 3-inch. This is kind of a misleading. It looks like a 4-inch clean out, but in fact it is a 3, which is fine for a 3-inch pipe. Alright, so here's our clean out access in this front planter area, below the windows of our left side addition here. There's our side driveway, tree behind us, entryway is off that way. Alright, I'm going to stop the recording, we'll reset into the house.